Hi, my name is GBENEDIO, and I'm the CEO of the Church Hub, where we profile administrative solutions to churches. In this video, I'll be showing you how to design and deploy a church retention strategy, which we'll call closing the church back door. Closing the church back door. It's going to be an amazing class where you will learn how to design and deploy strategies that will help you retain people in your church. Welcome to class. Closing the church back door can be referred to as developing strategies and putting things in place to ensure that people grow and stay in church. It's a common challenge with a lot of churches that people come to church but they don't stay. You have visitors, they keep coming. You have guests, they keep coming, but they don't stay. Why? Certain reasons might be responsible for this. Before we talk about closing the church back door, let's look at reasons why people don't stay in church. Number one, they are loyal to another church. A couple of people that come to your church are already members of another church. They probably came for an event, and so therefore they go back to their church. Some are loyal because of their family, some are loyal because of their upbringing, some are loyal for reasons best known to them. Such people will not stay in your church. So they have a loyalty to another church. The best you could do for them is to give them materials with which they can connect back with the church. Next, no point of connection. They came to your church, they couldn't find a reason to connect. Your style of worship probably was not their style of worship. So they couldn't flow with the service. They couldn't flow with the message or flow with the process. They couldn't find a point of connection, so they leave. Number three, geographical reasons. People come to your church, but they couldn't return because where they stay is far or very distant from where your church is. That is a major reason why people will not come back to your church. You could resolve that with your social media e-church if you have it properly structured out. Number four, poor church experience. Now, this is a major one because when people come to your church and they have a poor experience, the chances for them to come back is slow and slim. So you need to work on creating a church experience, which is part of what we're going to talk about in this video. Next, people-related reasons. Some came to your church, but because of one person's attitude, they couldn't stay. And then they found their way out of the church. It could be another reason why people are leaving your church. And the last reason for this class, why people leave your church, is because they don't have a reason. I like to call it no reason. Why are you not in church? Nothing. Do you like the church? Yes. Why didn't you come back? Nothing. They don't have a reason why they are not in your church. Well, such people, let them be. Because they don't just have a reason why they should stay in your church. So let's get into the class. How to develop the strategy. So before we get into that, let's take three things that must be considered for your strategy to work. Number one, documentation. There must be documents, capturing of information in the process of retaining people. There must be paperwork, there must be reporting, there must be documents that will support the strategy. Number two, there must be accountability. Because you are going to be assigning people to people, people must give accounts of the souls that has been assigned to them. Number three, there must be relationship. People stay back in church when they can find relationship. So there must be relationship in the strategy. And I'm sure when you set these three basic features, your strategy will work better. Number one strategy, connect people to people. Connect people to people. If you want people to stay back in your church, you must find a way to connect them to people. You must find a way to relate to them for them to see a human face in front of all of the church process. And for you to do that, you want to try three ways. Number one, visitors profiling. You need to profile visitors for you to know where they should belong. You need to check their biodata, where they work, what they do, and all of that. It helps you to know the kind of person you are dealing with. I like to call it visitors profiling. You're checking them out to know their status, their class, their thinking style, their areas of engagement, and all of that. Number 2, under connecting people to people, is interest-based connection. Why connecting people? You want to consider their interest. It's easier to build relationship where there are similar interests. If someone loves football, it's better to connect him to someone in church that also loves football, so they could build a relationship based on their interest. This is a powerful tool because relationship is what keeps people in church. Number 3 under connecting people is affinity-based connection. Affinity-based connection says if it's a lady, connect her to a lady. If it's a married man with children, kids, connect him to a married man with kids, so that they can be able to share experience. Relationship is about sharing experience. If they are able to connect on the level of their affinity, there are chances that they will be retained in church because they connected. There was a connection between them and a like-minded person. Next under this is activity-based connection. This is where every department plays a role. If someone comes to church and he has identified that he likes the music, he would love to join the choir. The strategy says the choir department should be responsible for keeping that person in church. So the person becomes an activity-based connected retention program. That's how it should run when you're talking about connecting people to people. 4 things I said: profiling, interest-based, affinity-based, and activity-based. Those will help you connect people to people. Now, the next thing you want to do with your retention strategy is participation and responsibility. Now, most times, people try this and it worked, though it's not 100%. They say if you give people responsibility in church, they have the likelihood that they will stay back. Well, it could work if you know how to work it. Under the participation and responsibility, you want to look at 3 things. Number 1, church events. If you have church events, you could get this new converts, this new guest, to participate in organizing or delivering that event. They could participate in marketing the event. They could participate in rallies and programs, distributing flyers. It gives them a sense of belonging to a family. That could work for your retention strategy. The next is outdoor events. Now, when they can come out and identify with the church in front of the society, there are chances that they will stay back in church. But you need to work it out in a way that it favors the church. Next is publicity. This we're looking at social media. When you get people to participate in your social media activity, chances are that they could claim the church as theirs and therefore stay back to be able to contribute their quota to whatever event is being publicized. These 3 things come under participation and responsibility. Keep them engaged, keep them doing work in church, give them a sense of belonging by sharing activities for them to participate and for them to be responsible for. Good. Number 3, under the retention strategy, you want to look at create worship experience. Now, this is a major part of retaining people because your church service is a powerful tool to assess how healthy your church is for a first timer. So the first thing you want to check out is your service flow. Your service flow. Do you have proper flow in your service? Do the activities connect? Do they look like it's organized? Do you have proper ways to make sure that the message of the day is one? There are churches where you go to and you could hear 5 different messages from 5 different activities that happen on the altar. The choir song is one message. The prayer point, another message. Pastor's message, another message. Choir administration, another message. You must be able to coordinate your church service flow to preach one message per service. It helps people to see that your church is organized and they want to belong there. Number 2 is your brand impression. You should see our video on church branding. Your brand impression matters a lot. People will stay back in a church where they feel there is a level of consciousness from the security post, from the parking lot to the altar. There must be a level of consciousness, an impression being created in their mind. Are the people organized? Are these people sure of what they are doing? We must be able to create a brand impression in creating our worship experience. And then the last one on that is the comeback effect. What is that thing that will make me come back to your church? You need to create it. You need to identify it and create it. What's that thing that will make me want to come back? You must look at it and build on that. For some churches, it's the music. For some churches, it's the ambience. For some churches, it's the way the ushers attend to people. For some churches, it's the word. Whatever works for you, make sure you pay attention to that. Feed what works for you when it comes to creating a worship experience through the comeback effect. I hope that blessed you. The next one is the workforce effect. In building a retention strategy, you want to consider your workforce. Because the workforce are the first set of people that a first-timer is going to relate with. So there must be proper workforce effect. Number 1, what's the worker's attitude? Train them, teach them, let them understand that the attitude matters a lot to the souls we want to save and retain. Every form of nasty attitude should not be excused, but properly handled. But you see, the workforce, they must have the right side, the right smile, the right answers to questions, the right response to requests, and be able to lead people into service in a conducive and powerful way. The church workforce must create an attitude that is needed to retain people in church. The next thing you want to check under your workforce effect is your workforce growth, the personal growth. Are they growing? I like to say that pastors must pay attention to their workforce because they are your first proof of ministry. If they're not doing well in their life, in their personal development, you might not be able to tell people about what God is doing in your church because obviously they are not seeing it. The workforce are supposed to be your template. They're supposed to be your evidence that you are doing ministry. So you want to take out time to look at your workforce, check what they do for a living, check are they studying, check are they reading, check are they improving on themselves. Because if they do better, it becomes an advert and retention strategy for the church. This also ties to their financial growth. Are they doing well financially? Are they improving their life? Are they willing to go to the next level based on what they are getting from church? That's a powerful tool that can retain people in your church when you create your worship experience. Making sure that your workforce has the right attitude. Workforce is growing. Your workforce is growing. Your workforce has financial growth. And you'll be able to use all of this to prove to people that your church is a place where they should belong to. The next under the strategy is to create a family approach. We shared earlier that relationship is what keeps people in church. You need to create a family approach in your church and be able to send that signal to people. People should be comfortable to bring in their children, bring in their teenagers. Couples should be able to bring in themselves, husbands, wives, elders, elder ones, and all of that. This is a major part of your retention strategy. The next part of your retention strategy is to look at your convenience. When people come to church, they want to be sure that they are safe, health-wise. So we look at your convenience, your toilets, your car park, your child care. These are major parts that people consider before they belong or join a church. They want to make sure that they are comfortable. They want to ensure that their children are safe, their cars and properties are properly kept. You need to pay attention to this part of your church. Look at your child care. The children should be able to learn something at their age. So you don't just lump children together and say these are children church. You must create a curriculum for children, for them to be able to learn something, because they go back home and they tell their parents what they learned. It excites a parent to know that my child learned something in church while I was learning. It means that we must pay attention to our child care. Now, this video is meant to trigger the retention strategy for your church. And I'm sure it will help you to put things in place. There are other videos you could check out on our church administrative processes, and we're sure that they're going to bless you. God bless you. My name is GBENEDIO, and they call me the church admin guy. Have a wonderful time.